Hi, I'm Marie. We are back today with another drawing Pokemon video. I did not grow up with Pokemon, as many of you are aware of already. So I asked my husband, who did grow up with Pokemon, to come up with some descriptions of some of his favorites. And today I'm going to see if I can draw a Oddish and compare whether or not my design looks anything like the actual one. An Oddish, this is a grass type Pokemon. He's basically a big blue radish with little feet and a floof of 5 green leaves for hair. He is jumping in the air and has a big smile on his face and small little red oval eyes. Okay, well, we will see what I come up with today. I'm going to start out like I always do, as you all know, just a very, very rough sketch of what I have in mind. I kind of like the idea that the Oddish has a bit of a teardrop shape. I know it says it's like a big blue radish, and so I'm not sure if that means it's like a whole sphere or if it's, yeah, like more of a teardrop, but I'm going to go with the teardrop. I'm going to throw in those leaves. I'm going to treat them like a little bit of a crown almost. And I like adding little cuts in the leaves just for some texture. And I'm going to give the Oddish a huge, huge maniacal smile. I don't really know if by big smile it means the smile takes up half of its face, but it's going to in this design. So yeah, just going through and adding the feet now. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do like shoes or make his feet his actual body, so I think I'm going to do his eyes instead since I know for sure what I want that to look like. And then I'm going to add some little like baby hairs. I don't know why. I just really want to have some kind of a transition between the sphere of his body into his hair leaves, so that's my attempt at that. And now I'm going to try a whole bunch of different feet versions. He's supposed to be jumping in the air, but I'm not sure if I like this version of those feet. So I think I'm going to adjust the canvas. I'm going to adjust the image a little bit on the canvas and try to get a different angle and see if something looks a little better to me. I kind of like this better. There's more of a line of action that seems more dynamic, and I don't know, it seems a little funnier to me. I can never really decide where to place these shoes, and I can always change it later. So now I'm gonna invert the drawing horizontally to see if there's any areas that look a little wonky to me. I'm gonna go through and just clarify the lines of perspective on the leaves so that's a little easier for me in the next stage, and clean up this rough line art as much as I can. Once we have the rough line art done, which I feel like we're pretty close, then I can go ahead into clean line art. I am going to use Belgian Comics for my ink on this, but you can use any brush that you are comfortable with. I like any brush that has a great variance of line weight, and you can kind of adjust that in your settings as well. But I like this one as well because there's a little bit of texture along the edge, and it just feels like I'm drawing with a chiseled black marker on sketchbook paper, which is just a feeling and a look that I really enjoy. I'm just going to go through and draw over my rough sketch. Like I always say, this isn't necessarily tracing. You're not just tracing the lines. You want to think about the volume and the shape that you're indicating with your lines, and make sure that you are considering the 3D form of this drawing as you're going through. This smile actually looks kind of terrifying to me now that I'm looking at it, but I can work with terrifying. I think maybe this Oddish, is just has a bit of an edge to it. I really wanted to make sure as well that the eyes were in the right place perspective-wise. I actually adjusted the sketch underneath it just to try to figure it out. Sometimes I don't always get it right the first time, but that's okay. The beauty of doing this on an iPad or even drawing it with pencil is you can always erase, you can always change things. So there's a lot of options. Don't feel like you're locked in to whatever your first version of something is. I'm going to go through and draw the leaves now, just trying to get the perfect line weight, which takes me forever, and trying to figure out what shape I want these leaves to be in. I like to try to draw as smooth and as long of strokes as I can to see if I can get a very clean line that feels like there's movement to it. I'm not sure that makes any sense, but yeah. And I'm going to go through and add a little bit of creases in the leaves. I think it adds a little bit more to it. Again, because all the Pokemon designs are so graphic and so cartoony, which I really love, I think that there's room to add a little bit of detail if you think the design warrants it. And in this case, I think it'll be nice to add, a little crease here and a little tear in the leaf just to vary up the shapes a bit. And like I've said, because I literally did not grow up with Pokemon, all I know is that they're little monsters and they fight each other. And so in my headcanon, this little Oddish fights other Pokemon. So maybe they're the reasons why he has a little tear in his leaves. I don't know. And that's why there's scuffs on his shoes, scuff marks. I just want to imagine as much as I can what this creature's life is, I guess, and try to give him a story as I'm drawing this character. So I think I'm happy with this line art for now, and I'm just going to go ahead and move into color. Coloring is my favorite part. It's very therapeutic, and I am going to choose this nice soothing like sky blue color. I think it fits well. I like the saturation. It's not too bright, it's not too desaturated, and I think it'll go well with whatever green I choose for the leaves. I am just going to go through gradually. Again, there's much faster ways to ink. If you are trying to do this as quickly as possible, this is the wrong video for you. There's much faster ways, and you can use the paint bucket tool. You can use a lot of other tools. Some programs like Procreate have other methods that make this much more quick. But I really like just doing it the slow way, I'm not in a rush. There's no rush here. Just filling in those really bright eyes. I chose a very saturated red, but there's something like just really intense about this design somehow. It's like creepy, cute, intense. So I think the super glowing red eyes is a good fit. For the leaves, I'm going to choose this nice green color. I really like it. It's around the same saturation as the blue that I chose, and I don't know, it looks nice, feels very fitting, and I'm gonna go through and just take my time, color in all these leaves, enjoy this process. I'm very curious as to, is there an explanation to how Pokemon came to be? I'm sure there is. I'm sure if I watched the TV show or did any research at all on Pokemon before doing this, which would have ruined the point of this. But anyways, I just want to know, how did an Oddish get made? It does look like a radish, I'm assuming, and there's leaves on it. So, but what, how... is it like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where, goo fell on the turtles and now they're mutants? That makes sense to me. And then they have a rat father, and that's all good and well. But, did the Oddish have a palm tree father and then a radish mother? Or were they already Oddishes and then they became this? Anyways, distractions aside, it's now time to add some shading. I'm just gonna do some real fast, really quick indications of where the light is coming from. So just, some small shadows. I like to pick a nice desaturated purple shade, and then I'm probably gonna put this on multiply and bring down the opacity just to give it a little hint of shadow, but not too intense, nothing that distracts. Again, because this design is so graphic, it just felt like it could use a little more pop, and this is adding something. I'm liking this. I like how it's turning out. I'm just going to go through and do a little bit of shadow on every single leaf. I really, really want to make sure that none of the shadows that I'm adding now are too intense on any particular area. I don't want it to be distracting. I want them to look relatively consistent. And when someone's looking at this design, I don't want them to be focused on one particular piece of it. I would like them to look at the whole thing and just feel like there's a little bit of depth and 3D aspect to the drawing, but nothing, too wild. I also think after I'm done doing the shadow, I might add some color to this giant smile, because I might want to be able to export this as a PNG. And if you're in this situation and you would like a digital image of your drawing where there's a transparent background, any areas that are white, as you'll notice, will also be transparent. So you're going to want to definitely pick some shade of white to color that in. I'm going to choose white with a bit of a slight purple undertone. I know it looks very purple here. And now you'll notice after I make the background white again, it actually looks completely fine. See, it definitely can see the hints of purple, but it actually looks very fitting for the design. So I think I'm happy with this. I think it's time to take a look at what the actual design looks like. Okay, now that I'm done with my version, it's time to reveal what the actual Oddish design looks like. Oh my gosh, I got pretty close. I added like the weird little like a weird little fluff at the end. I don't know why I did that, but the actual leaves and everything are actually really similar in the colors that I chose. Even though it did say like blue and green, I actually chose like similar shades this time. I did give him little shoes and make them a different color instead of just making like the feet part of his body. And his eyes are much wider apart in the original design. I actually think the original design is much cuter. I feel like mine looks like a really unhinged, like psycho version of it. And the big smile that I did is like really intense. I actually really like how the original one is more like cute, and there's just like a little happy face. But this is an example of, I think my version is like the maybe the weird older sibling you don't talk about version of this Oddish. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Feel free to comment below with any descriptions that you would like me to try to draw in the future, and see you in the next video.